there was this outcry after Batman Returns, and I'm talking even after the first week it's out. Parent groups, Christian groups complaining the movie's too dark. It's not for kids. Kids are crying and screaming and they're traumatized. And it goes back to McDonald's, who, basically want to wipe their hands clean of it. Here's a quote from the cowards at McDonald's. The objective of the Happy Meal program was to allow young people to experience the fun of Batman the character. It was not designed to promote attendance at the movie. It was certainly not our intent to confuse parents and disappoint children. Blow me.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
A decade of destruction. Let's see if my mic picks this up.
Oh. Someone is, look at that. Okay, so for our audio-only audience who doesn't know what just happened, John, doing exactly what he did for our 300th episode, has
and I'll do it for the 400th too.
He'll do the 400. Has brought out a thing of champagne that I cannot drink, but he can, so he's gonna get drunk for both of us.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Oh man, yeah. This is a very it's a landmark episode because this today marks 10 years of this podcast, and I think it's worth mentioning and doing a little bit deep dive because we are going to absolutely get into our main topic, which is fixing Batman Forever. It's not a review.
We've done that.
We've done that.
Yeah.
In 10 years, we've done that. It's fixing it. In my case, it might just be scrapping the whole fucking thing altogether, but we're going to try to fix it. Okay. But I think it's worth just pausing for a bit and just noting that at no point did I think that this podcast was going to last 10 years. John, what about you?
Neither did I, but it wasn't that I didn't think that we had it in us in any way. What do you ever think is going to last 10 years, ever in any way, shape or form? Jobs, houses, relationships, let alone a podcast. So yeah, if you told me we'd be doing this 10 years later, I'd be like, probably not for any real reason, probably. But yeah, the fact that we're still here a decade strong, it's crazy.
Yeah. I was thinking about this today. I'm like, I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that not only will we still be going strong, in the episodes we're producing. I don't think we've produced a bad episode in 10 years. I think we've always had fun, but just that we would get to a 10-year mark, because obviously we've reached 100 episodes, 200 episodes, 300. We're coming up in a couple weeks with hitting episode 400, which I still don't know what the hell we're going to cover on that episode. But yeah, it's crazy when you hit a decade of doing something almost every week. There have been times when we've missed weeks, and a lot of things have changed in my life. I know that's changed in your life, in this show's production. I mean, John, we started with 3 hosts. Okay, it's worth mentioning, and I'll give props to Lane. Lane was a large part of this show. Lane Wilson was a large part of this show, and we wouldn't have gotten to 10 years without her involvement in it.
Agreed.
But,
yeah. She was 1/3 of this. And she made it possible for us to go on. So
yeah. So I want to give props to Lane, because I think it's important to call out Lane. But I mean, on top of that, I was single. Well, no, I was not single. I was not married yet.
I think you and Lauren had just started seeing each other.
We just started seeing each other. Yes. My wife and I just started seeing each other. But in 10 years' time, I've been married. I have kids now. I've gone through at least a couple different jobs. Got into the podcast. So a lot of things have changed in 10 years. But one thing that has stayed consistent is almost every week, John and I sit down and we talk about movies with you all. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think we would have gotten here if it wasn't for the words of encouragement that I've heard from some fans. Okay, I don't hear it from everybody because I know people don't like to engage, and that's okay. It's all right. Well, from the couple people that have listened to the show and, you know, have talked to me or talked to John. I mean, I have one person who I keep bringing this person up, but it's important to bring them up. They said in our Discord channel one time, they were like, yeah, I'm going back and listening to all of your old episodes. I'm like, why? They love the show. They love the episodes. They're listening back to them. But John, have you had, I know a couple of your friends listen to our podcast regularly.
I was one of the greatest moments of my life was I was on a film set and somebody came up to me and went, "Hey, don't you do that podcast, the Cinema Psycho Show?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they were from Baltimore, and they go, "Oh, I listen to that show. I love that show." And I'm like, "What?" Okay,
yeah. I ran into a podcaster, big name podcaster, who said that they knew who we were because of the podcast. You know, John, we have met film professionals. We've gotten to be part of film screenings and be part of media screenings and critic screenings and talk to people that we've never in our wildest dreams would have been able to talk to had it not been for the podcast.
Yeah.
So 10 years strong. What do you think, John? You think we got another 10 years in us?
Yeah, if I don't keel over by then, yeah.
Not either one of us doesn't keel over. Awesome. But well, as I mentioned at the top of the episode here, we're going to be trying to fix Batman Forever. Now, it's worth noting that John and I are not fans of this movie, right?
But wait a second, Brian.
Yeah.
We got to make sure that we have everything set up to do this podcast. Let's see. Popcorn, check. Yeah. Soft drink, check. Yeah. Warner Brothers ball cap.
I don't have the Warner Brothers ball cap.
We can't do this podcast without a Warner Brothers ball cap.
You know what else? You know what else we need to have set up besides the Warner Brothers ball cap?
What? Okay.
Well, we need to tell everybody that if you want to follow our podcast,
beautiful
that you like how I did that. If you want to follow our podcast, you need to go to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow and follow us on your favorite podcasting app of choice. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, thank you so much for doing that. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and let us know down in the comments. What do you think of Batman Forever? And on top of that, do you love the Cinema Psycho Show? What's your favorite moment in the past 10 years that we've covered? It's a little selfish plug there. Okay, I'd like a little selfish plug, a little bit engagement. Either one works.
Hey,
for me.
We earned it. God damn it.
Earned it. But yes, I don't have a Warner Brothers ball cap, and I'm actually not even wearing, like, for a video or audio only audience, I'm not even wearing Batman gear. Okay. Granted, I've got like a Dark Knight poster behind me, and John is wearing a fucking Batman shirt. I'm wearing Fright Night because why not? But you know, Batman Forever is a movie that I have found has gained more appreciation in current years than I think it ever has had previously, and I personally do not know why.
It's a polarizing one. I think that, and I don't know if it deserves this, but it gets lumped in because, you know, you have the two Tim Burtons and the two Joel Schumacher ones. It gets lumped in with Batman and Robin. And I feel that, like, you know, it's like Billy Carter to Jimmy Carter. Like, Billy Carter just made Jimmy Carter look bad as a president because his brother was such a piece of shit. You know, so I feel like Batman and Robin just rubs off on Batman Forever. But should we first kind of give our history of Batman and then kind of talk about the movies and how we even got to Batman Forever?
Like our just overall history of Batman in general.
Well, that was one of the first things that you and I hit off on in grad school. That, like,
yes,
we were both 4 years old, and it wasn't just our favorite movie; it was like our existence. It was Batman.
It was life. Yes. So I was around 4 years old when I don't think I saw it in the theaters, but I definitely saw it on VHS. And first moment I watched it, I called the chills. Like, it literally was the chills. And you know that if you're a movie person, or honestly, not even just a movie person, but if you watch a movie or you watch a TV show or you listen to a piece of music, there oftentimes is a moment where that media connects with you on a level that you didn't think was possible. and it collects on a level that I think really like ties into who you are as a person and kind of formulates exactly the type of person you're going to become. I was around 4 years old, and I got swept up in the summer of Batman. You know, the first time I saw that fucking trailer, I was just like, whoa. But then when I saw the movie, it just caused that cerebral connection that just, it became me. Like, it's hard to explain, but I think people, when you've seen something like that, it's always some sort of creative piece. It just connects with you in a way that becomes part of you. And I remember my mom would tell me, oh, you're going to grow out of this Batman stage. I'm like, I don't think I will. And this was, when I was like 16 years old. You're going to grow out of the Batman stage. I'm like, I don't think I will. So like Batman became my everything. I drew pictures of Batman. I watched the animated series. I was so excited when Batman Returns came out. And I love Batman Returns, even though if you go back to episode 1, I tell you that there's problems with it because as an adult, I noticed the problems. And I was so hyped for Batman Forever, despite being sad that Michael Keaton was not going to be Batman. John, I remember the news story when it broke. Like, this is so crazy. I remember in like 1993 when they announced that Michael Keaton was stepping down from Batman. Like, that's a core memory, right? And I was sad about it. I was upset about it. But then, like, I started to see, we're going to have the Riddler and we're going to have Two-Face and, it's going to be cool. And then I saw it and I didn't hate it initially.
No, I mean, we were 10 years old, and it's kind of
10.
It's important, I think, to point out that like it was monumental jumps in our lives. We were 4, 7, 10, and 12. Yes. I mean, Batman and Robin, whatever.
We're not going to count that. I'm not going to talk about fucking Batman and Robin.
But I was, when I was 7, I had no problem with Batman Returns. Like, I think it's insane to think that people are like, oh, my child was so traumatized watching Batman.
Yeah, fuck
Returns.
them.
I was 7 years old. I didn't have.
I loved it.
I watched it over and over. Got the merch again.
I ate the chocolate god awful cereal from Batman Returns.
Oh God, it was terrible.
It was terrible. Tastes like cardboard and marshmallows. But guess what? I ate it because I loved it. I lived it.
Like you, I love Batman, the animated series. It just seemed like, Warner Brothers was just giving me Batman all the fucking time. Couldn't get enough. And I was 10 years old and I worshipped at the doorstep of Jim Carrey. So that was, I'm like, another Batman movie. It has Jim Carrey. It can't go wrong. I'm 10 years old. I don't have any taste. So it wasn't
inside the soundtrack on cassette.
Okay, this is the only thing that doesn't need fixed about this movie. The soundtrack. It is one of the best movies.
It is a fucking banger of a soundtrack. I don't care what anyone says. It's awesome. And I played that thing on repeat too. Even Kiss from a Rose. Pretty much the song of summer for 1995.
Although U2's Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me,
that was my favorite. That was my favorite. But there's so many good tracks on that.
Flaming Lips on there. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. But no, I didn't care for it after I thought about Batman Forever. That was my thing. Once I thought about it.
Yeah. And I noticed as a kid, like I got both like Batman and Batman Returns for Christmas on VHS. And then my sister and I got Batman Forever. And I would just, some nights, if I was Saturday and I was just hanging out by myself, I would watch the trilogy. And as a little kid, I just kind of noticed that the first two, while there are differences, they got a different art director, they got, some different set design, costume design, is that they still felt like they were the same universe. But the third one, it just kind of sticks out. And I'm like, this doesn't seem like a trilogy at all. I mean, this is before Batman and Robin made it a quad trilogy.
Could it possibly have been, John, because the third one is covered in fucking neon
and big beautiful lights? Why does Batman have to be so sad?
I mean, what I go with this one. The first 5 minutes of the movie has quite literally LED lights thrown on everybody, including Chase Meridian and Gordon. Like, they're just everywhere.
We got bat nips, bat butthole, a drive-through joke, and a rib
because
for her
the McDonald's, John.
Yeah.
McDonald's, John. We needed to make up for the McDonald's incident. That was what that was.
So let's talk about that real quick. So the
All
reason
right.
that reason that we're here with Batman Forever is and I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Batman 89 takes 10 years to get to the screen. Michael Uslan excuse me, the rights to Batman, even though everybody's telling him with all this money that he's built up. It's like nobody wants to see comic book movies unless it's Superman. It's a waste of your time. Don't buy the rights, buy rights to something else. But he is the boy that loved Batman and had to fight, scratch, and claw for 10 years, including some people being like, we should get Ivan Reitman and we should make it like the 60s show with Bill Murray as Batman. And he's like, Michael's like, that's against every single reason I bought the rights to this movie. But eventually we get Batman 89. It's this cultural phenomenon, as we mentioned, and Warner Brothers gives a free pass to Tim Burton to, instead of making what I would call a Batman sequel, he makes a Tim Burton movie. And I don't really mind that. It still feels like a Batman movie to me. Yes, it's more of a Tim Burton movie, but in the process, they push the boundaries of PG-13. The Penguin is just barfing goo. There's lots of violence. It's sad and depressing and mopey. There's so much sexual innuendo. It's a dark film, knowing that they're going to be sending kids there, but whatever. As I said, I was 7, didn't bother me. The biggest issue was for the first movie, they partner with Taco Bell, is what it is. McDonald's easily dwarfs every fast food chain in this country, that still does to this day. And they signed this blockbuster deal with McDonald's because they realized we're probably not going to make as much as the first movie, but merchandising. And so, they double the amount of products they're selling, and they cut this big deal with McDonald's where they can get the Happy Meal toys, and they convert all these McDonald's into Gotham City McDonald's. They went through all these renovations and all this process, all these collector cups, all this stuff. And there was this outcry after Batman Returns. And I'm talking even after the first week it's out, parent groups, Christian groups, all these people complaining the movie's too dark. It's not for kids. Kids are crying and screaming and they're traumatized. And it goes back to McDonald's, who, basically say they want to wipe their hands clean of it. And
what always drove me nuts about that whole thing?
What's that?
Here's what always drove me nuts about that whole thing. A year or two prior, Edward Scissorhands comes out. Okay. Movie that also is PG-13. Movie that, it did not have, a Happy Meal toy associated with it. Although, thinking about it, I would have loved to have seen a Johnny Depp, Edward Scissorhands Happy Meal toy. But by and large, you can look at Edward Scissorhands and go, oh yeah, that's the same aesthetic, the same vibe as Batman Returns. So no one kicked up a fuss over Edward Scissorhands ever, even though that movie quite literally shows Edward killing a person. But everyone's like, oh, it's a heartfelt story of otherness. And there was even jokes in fucking Seinfeld at that time about who he made me cry. And it's like, it's the same thing. You're just upset the fact that someone who you knew was going to do this, everybody knew Tim Burton was a fucking weirdo, which we love that he's a weirdo. But you knew what his aesthetic was going to be. Okay. You knew it. So I never understood why there was such an outcry other than just oh, it's Batman. Batman's not supposed to have a woman in a cat suit, which I'm pretty sure it's always had that. Or, a penguin person. It's is it gross? Okay, fine. But it's Tim Burton. Are you surprised? But
a woman in a cat suit. Look at Julie Newmar. Look at
Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt. They were doing the same exact thing. I never understood that.
Here's a quote from the cowards at McDonald's. The objective of the Happy Meal program was to allow young people to experience the fun of Batman the character. It was not designed to promote attendance at the movie. It was certainly not our intent to confuse parents and disappoint children. Blow me.
Oh, fuck you, McDonald's. Yeah. Come on.
And I hate to say it, but deals with places like the hotel chain that they were connected with at this time. I think it might have been Best Western, can't remember. Diet Coke and McDonald's. That practically pays for the whole movie itself.
Yep.
After that, the rest of the merchandising and ticket sales is just money in the executive's pocket. So because they pissed off McDonald's, they felt they had to course correct instead of, I don't know, maybe going with a different fast food chain. We'll get there. But
that's one thing that, we talked like that could have fixed it. Go with a different fast food chain.
But here's how ridiculous of a stranglehold McDonald's has. The scene where the Brontosaurus sneezes on Lex in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That was in that movie because McDonald's had an agreement with Jurassic Park, and they knew there's going to be a lot of violent dinosaur scenes. And they said, you need to put friendly, funny dinosaurs that do something funny or silly or gross in the movie so we could sell Happy Meal toys. So that scene was written by McDonald's.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I get it. Like they again, no one freaked out and said anything like, oh, well, that scene where the T-Rex eats the slimy attorney, my kid was terrified by that. No one freaked out about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel that, see, Brian has like a whole new idea, and I want to hear it. I'd say I kind of want to play in the rules of like, okay, what if I was some kind of more of a creative executive at Warner Brothers, and I'm trying to keep this from just becoming a neon toy commercial. Which, look, I know we're here to sell toys. That's fine. We're gonna I'm still gonna have Robin in the movie. We're gonna have a Robin action figure. You can have the Batmobile toys. Like it's all gonna be there. So we're still gonna make merchandise money. But I think that first and foremost, the buck stops with the director. I understand that Warner Brothers needs to make a change, and so as much as I hate it personally, if I'm thinking about playing by how the executives would think, I feel that Tim has to go. Because that's how they think, that he's the captain, right? And what if a football team goes 4-12 or 4-13? Even if it's not the coach's fault, the buck stops with the coach. They got the coach gets fired, they bring in somebody else, and then they go 5-11 the next year, still because it wasn't the coach's fault. But because of that situation, you got to let Tim go. But Joel Schumacher is not the answer.
I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
Disagree. Okay. I go with you keep Tim Burton. Okay. Keep him. Here's the reason why. Whenever they have let Tim Burton go, and this is, again, prior to Mars Attacks, because we all know that Mars Attacks is kind of the moment when like Tim Burton wasn't shining as bright as he was previously. Mm-hmm. Okay. But every time that the studios let Tim Burton go prior to Mars Attacks, he throws out a banger. Okay. Like he did that with Edward Scissorhands for Fox. And Warner Brothers wanted him back, which is why they gave him Batman Returns. So my thought is this. If you want to keep Tim Burton, because he's gone on record and said that he did have ideas for a third Batman movie. My thought process is you give him restraints like you did in the first film that made a shit ton of money. Okay. Like I am not of the mindset of you get rid of Tim Burton. I'm of the mindset of you keep Tim Burton because he is a gifted storyteller and has a visual eye for this, but you put him back in restraints. You say, listen, you can't do what you did before because look at what happened. So your course correction is you want to stay employed? You want to stay on team? We're not going to get rid of you because we do like you. But guess what? We're going to have a producer who's going to be able to constrain you, because we've seen that in the past. Whenever we've had filmmakers who go all unrestrained, Francis Ford Coppola, they can't help themselves. I mean, and I think there is something worth noting to have constraints within a film project. Even though directors like, I just want to tell my vision. It's like, that's great. But you still got to have someone saying, I don't think you need to have the Penguin spit out a bunch of black goo. Like think about the optics here. It's like, keep in mind, yeah, we are still selling toys, But are we going to sell a black goo penguin toy? No. And that's why if you look at the merchandising, the penguin didn't look anything like Danny DeVito. Okay.
Now, I hate to be that neckbeard about that.
Go ahead, be that neckbeard.
Part of that was that they kept what the penguin looked like under wraps, so they had no choice but to go with like old comic book looks for the penguin.
Well, they also had that old sculpt.
They had that old sculpt
right from the 80s.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They still would not have made the toy, the Happy Meal toy, or the action figures look like that.
Can you imagine that one? Here's
yeah.
Oswald Cobblepot, the action figure, with black goo that shoots out of his face.
Oh, you pour it in the back. Like, remember the Joker's flower that you put?
Yes, I have that one.
Water in. Yeah,
yeah.
I got it right over there. Yeah,
but my point just being that I would keep Tim Burton, but I would put him back in restraints with a producer who could take that energy and direct it towards a story that is more commercially friendly, so to speak. I also would have told McDonald's to go fuck themselves, but that's just me.
I would have thought that as well. And I'm going to shelf that. I'm going to get back to it. I think if we talk about two movie productions that are happening at the same time, I think what I would do is I would propose a trade in the same way that for whatever reason, Steven Spielberg was supposed to make the remake of Cape Fear and Martin Scorsese was supposed to make Hook. And I think it was Spielberg who called up Scorsese and said, I think we're making the wrong movies, Marty. And they agreed to switch the director's chair, which perfect sense to me. Marty should be making Cape Fear and Spielberg should be making Hook. The director I would bring in is Henry Selick.
Oh, okay.
He's got the same style, the same approach. Warner Brothers can control him a lot easier. And the whole reason that Burton didn't opt to direct Nightmare Before Christmas was he was committed, contractually committed to Batman Returns. So you let Tim do his Nightmare Before Christmas. You bring Henry Selick in, direct Batman Returns. You can have that same kind of style, but with handcuffs.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, no, I can see that. I don't know. I like the Burton-verse. I just think that part of the reason why, even though I know Tim Burton doesn't like Grubers and Peters, and despise them during the production, but I think that having someone have those constraints on you makes for a better movie, and you can see that in Batman and Batman Returns. Still the same director. One's got constraints, the other one doesn't.
So that's who I would bring, because it was Mark Canton, VP of production at Warner Brothers, that wanted Joel. And all I can ask is, Joel Schumacher, did he get this job because of Lost Boys? Like, what made?
No, he got it because the client.
But what about the client screams this guy should direct Batman movies?
Got no idea. Like, honestly, I never understood why Schumacher, of all people, other than maybe it was a matter of like, hey, this guy can be more controlled. This guy is going to be on Team Toyetic. Why he, of all people, was chosen to be the director of these two movies. I never understood that. But I mean, the only thing I'm thinking of is, well, they wanted Tommy Lee Jones. So, we knew that Joel Schumacher and Tommy Lee Jones are friends. Although I know that in actuality, Joel Schumacher pulled Tommy Lee Jones because of work on The Client. Yeah. Which you could also get a sense from the interviews that, that I already knew, but I was doing the research for this, is that Tommy Lee Jones has never read a comic book in his life, has no affinity for this subject matter, and does not care. He's treating it like it's an exercise in overacting for his own amusement. Well, I think he said it was because of his kids. Like, didn't he say like, "Oh, I did this because of my kids"? Like Martin Sheen did Spawn because of his kids. I hate that. I hate that answer. By the way, it would be easier if you just said, "I did it because of the money." Like, could you just say that? Like, dear actors, I'm going to point to camera one here for you. Dear actors who are working on any sort of comic book movie or something that someone has given you a shit ton of money on your driveway to do. Don't give me some bullshit reasoning why, oh, well, I did this because of my kids. It's like, no. Just be honest. You know, this studio gave me a shit ton of cash to appear in it, and so I did it. Like that would just be honest. Like I think that's what Jamie Lee Curtis did with the Blumhouse Halloween. They paid me a crap ton of money. So yeah, I'm gonna show up for it.
I mean, H2O as well. Yeah,
H2O. Yeah, it's the greatest Halloween movie of all time.
A crap ton
of money.
Me
a shit ton of money. But.
Until the next Halloween comes out and I go, H2O sucked. And it's like,
H2O.
Oh, you're a snake, Jamie.
Yeah. But no, you're honest. Like you're an honest snake. So I mean, I think that's what I want. I don't want to hear I did it because of my kids. Fuck you. You did it because someone gave you a shit ton of money.
But if you look back, Joel Schumacher tried to kind of keep the feel of the Burton-verse in there, but it was Warner Brothers that kept pushing him away from that. No, make it brighter, make it funner, make it sillier, and being a pushover, he went that route. So I as an executive in this hypothetical have to find some way to combat the rest of Warner Brothers, who, by the way, the movie Batman Returns made $270 million on an $80 million budget. That's not even taking into account the McDonald's money, which McDonald's did pull their agreement with Batman Returns, but I'm sure it's after a large amount of money had changed hands. So already your hands are washed at McDonald's. You can go somewhere else. But the Diet Coke money, the Best Western money, you're already rolling in it. And not to mention all the merchandise, that you sold. It's not like the movie didn't make any money. It's not like, oh no, we need to change everything so we can sell more toys. You sold toys. You did it. Yeah, I understand you want to make it a little lighter, but it's not like you're not going to sell toys, especially if, and I got to ask you, are you keeping Robin in this movie?
No.
Okay. I'm keeping Robin because I'm thinking if I want to try to make this movie remotely like the first two, I got to let them sell Robin toys. Even though technically speaking, I don't know if a lot of people know this, that they wanted to have Robin in the first and the second one. The first one, he was cut for time. They didn't shoot anything. They cut him out of the script. Like the Joker was supposed to drive through the circus.
There's an animatic out there
that
shows the storyboards for that Robin sequence. But yeah.
And they're like, oh, money and time, but it was in the second one. They even had Marlon Wayans do a costume fitting for Robin, and Burton, because he had creative control, went, I don't want Robin. And well, we had him do a costume fitting. He's like, this movie's already overstuffed with characters, which he wasn't wrong. No, and so because Burton didn't want him, we didn't get him in the second one. But
he still paid money, by the way.
I know, isn't that great?
Robin.
Yeah.
Like he
still gets royalties.
He still gets royalties because he, in essence, was signed to be Robin, and just a last minute thing, he got axed.
But there actually is a Robin toy. I have it over on the shelf over there. And I didn't even know that as an adult that there was, they went, well, because he was in the script, and I'm sure that's where they went to make the toys from. Mm-hmm. They still made a Robin toy, but here's the fun fact. He's white. The toy is white. And even though they cast Marlon Wayans.
Yeah. Racism. Yay.
Because I'm sure they didn't know who they cast, but I'm sure in the script at the time it said a young African-American man working on Bruce's car or something like that. But they still made the toy white. But yeah, I think if you really include Robin in this one, you can really put the executives at rest that look, Robin toys, Robin motorcycle toys, all this stuff. You just don't need to make them Chris O'Donnell.
John, I quite literally, my version scraps Robin, it scraps Chase Meridian, it scraps Riddler. Gone. Like I kid not, I got rid of him. And what I mean, I got rid of him, truth be told, I went through and literally wrote out, in essence, what I vision a third movie in the Batman trilogy would be. Yeah. And my problem with Robin has always been that I think when you add Robin to the mix, it dilutes what honestly a Batman movie should be about, which is fucking Batman. And the first two movies, second one more so than the first one, were more about the villains. And I never liked that. And it's only been in recent years with the Dark Knight trilogy and the Batman where we're finally seeing movies about, I don't know, Batman. So like adding Robin to the mix, I'm like, I don't give a shit about Robin. I want to know more about this character Batman. And especially, at least in my version, it deals with his double life and duality, because I'm like, that plays in really well with the Two-Face character, which is what we were promised in the first fucking movie with Billy D. Williams. And I don't know, kind of would like to see that come to fruition in the third one.
Okay. Well, I'm keeping Robin in.
That's fine. You fucking keep Robin. You can sell Robin toys and Robin cycles. And I gotta ask you this: in your version, do you keep his weirdo like way of doing laundry? Like,
hell no.
Are you gonna keep that?
That's axed. That's axed.
I mean, John, that would be a cool play set to have the Robin
the laundry play set. Yes, it's for the little girls.
It's for the kids. It's for the kids. Look at his laundry swinging towel arm that you just flip a switch on the back and it swings all around.
It comes with a little Alfred action figure with doing an O face and a boner. Like he's just so impressed.
Just O face,
Master Dick.
Master Dick.
Why didn't he call him Master Richard? Come on.
Yeah, Master Richard.
But I don't go with Chris O'Donnell, and I actually don't go with Marlon Wayans because I was looking at pictures of them at the time, and they both appear too old. And this is the paradox of having Robin in a movie, is that if you go back to the comic book code days, the reason that all of these characters, Captain America got Bucky and Superman got Superboy and Batman got Robin, is that they, some weirdo psychologist said this is communist propaganda polluting the minds of children, these weird loners stalking the knights. And so the comic book industry's solution was, we'll give these grown men a child sidekicks, and that'll make them seem more American. Sure.
Well, I think it made it where they added those child sidekicks to soften them.
Yeah.
And also make it, let's be honest here, sell more fucking comic books. Because if there's a sidekick,
I could be the sidekick.
You could be the sidekick. You could be Bucky or Robin or Superboy. You could be those.
Yeah. But in the process, like it works on a comic book page if you see someone who looks like they're like 12, Yeah. But in a movie, it's really fucking weird. But also, Chris O'Donnell looks like he's 25 years old. He wasn't. I think he was even around that when they did the movie. Mm-hmm. But I went through everybody who was considered for the role at the time, and there's only one person I think that balances that line between old enough that it's not creepy that he's living with an eccentric billionaire and his butler, but still has a young enough look that he kind of still has a kid. And even though I'm not a biggest fan of his, I'm casting Leonardo DiCaprio.
I was going to say, are you going to go Leo?
I'm going with Leo.
Yeah, 1995 Leonardo DiCaprio was really young. I mean, that's Quick and the Dead era. So,
he's like 3 or 4 years younger than both O'Donnell and Marlon. Yeah. So
no, I think, and I would say I wouldn't. If you're going that young, I mean, he's not going to be a Dick Grayson. He's probably going to be more of a Tim Drake type character.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I would say smarter move there.
And the studio brings in Lee and Janet Scott Batchelor as the writers. My question is, it's not Sam Hamm. Why not bring in Sam Hamm, who is the writer of the first two films? Are they really looking to just clean slate it that much?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the only, I mean, if you look at what they ended up with the movie, it is so diverted from everything in that second film and everything with that first film that it tells me like they just wanted to wipe the slate clean. I mean, you even have jokes in the writing that point that actually like point fingers at the second film, especially like when Chase Meridian's like, oh, if I should wear skin tight vinyl and a whip. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like it's them poking fun at those previous films.
And the biggest problem I have here. Okay, so if I said that Tim's out,
Yeah.
one thing that is paramount above all else for me here is that I have to keep Michael Keaton. And,
Well, yeah.
And even though apparently he wanted inside baseball here, $15 million and a cut of the box office gross and a cut of merch, kind of what Jack got in the first film.
Yeah.
In my
Give it
opinion,
to him.
you give it to him. But here's the problem. And what really changed it was I think they might have been willing to do it, but it was Michael who walked away because he met with Joel. And Joel was like, I don't understand why Batman has to be so dark. You know, like, I don't know why it can't be more fun. You know, and then he was given this script and he's like, yeah, this is crap. I'm going to go, work on The Paper or whatever movie he did after that. And,
he did a Multiplicity.
Yeah.
He did do that.
And, but the thing is, like, you got to find a director that will gel with Michael and you pay him, because I think you got to get your Batman back.
Well, I think, John, this points to my issue with these movies as a whole is that they've always been about the fucking villain. Every one of them has been about the fucking villain. So, I mean, that's the problem, is when you're about the fucking villain, you don't really give two shits about who's playing Batman. So yeah, in my mind, I'm like, you absolutely pay Michael Keaton what he wants, because might as well.
Yeah. But to your point, Brian, do we need two villains, or two villains that are that popular? Like, I know, I get it, two villains, two toys, but
yeah,
I mean, in the second one, Penguin can't really fight Batman, so Catwoman's there to be able to fight Batman. Plus, we also get 2 for 1. You get a love interest and a villain, so to speak. And this one, I don't think we need both Riddler and Two-Face, because you're drying up the well, with villains.
No, for me, and again, I want to in this episode get to like what my vision for the film is as a whole, but in mine, I keep Catwoman, because we did at the end of Batman Returns get a promise of a Catwoman. So I'm like, well, the third one should kind of answer that fucking question. Instead of wait for Halle Berry to show up as Catwoman years later, because that's what happened. But I add in her. I don't think of her as a villain per se. And I kind of put most of my eggs in the Harvey Dent Two-Face basket. That's what I do.
As it should be, and I will say this, if it comes down to the Riddler, no Jim Carrey, in my opinion. Don't tell 10-year-old me that. I would say it was sacrilege, but I understand that you need to get big names in this movie, but isn't Robin Williams a big enough name? Like, maybe don't fuck him over again. But here's the problem. Again, a little more inside baseball. Robin also wanted a cut of like box office proceeds and merchandising, and you can't give that to both Michael and Robin.
No, I mean, the part of the reason to understand of why Jack Nicholson got such a big fucking cut of not just the Batman film, but Batman as a entity, right? Like, he gets money off of anything that's Batman, right?
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that it was such a gamble to make that movie, right? Like when they made Batman 1989, it was a gamble because of a lot of different reasons. One, yeah, people thought this was going to be Mr. Mom playing Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, wait a minute, we're going to get this movie.
Yeah, because actors can't have range.
Actors can't have range.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Mom playing Batman. People thought it was gonna be fucking goofy, which just wait till 1995, it'll get fucking goofy then. But people were unsure about this film, and it was something that, locking in a big name actor that you could potentially hang the film on, because that, let's be honest here, the Batman from 1990 is more or less a Jack Nicholson piece, if anything else. Okay. And if you can hang it on him, that might help. So how do you get him in on it? Well, yeah, you pay him an ungodly amount of money and give him a sweetheart deal that just about every one of his friends tries to get. Like, talk about you, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
We know what you were trying to do with Batman Returns. You were trying to get that sweetheart deal.
But, it's just so many things in this movie, too, that just don't work for me. Like, don't change the Batmobile. The Batmobile is iconic. And the thing is, people are like, oh, but we want people to buy a new Batmobile. You came out with a Batmobile for Batman Returns. Yeah. And people bought it, but it was the same Batmobile. They'll buy it again, but also it's a different set of kids. Like, maybe if you were 10 when the first one came out, you're not buying the Batmobile toy when you're 16. But maybe somebody who sees Batman Forever when they're 5 wants their first Batmobile. So don't change the Batmobile. Don't change the Batcave. Don't change Wayne Manor that much. And find some art director who can find a combination between Anton Furz's art direction of the first film with the art direction of the second film. Mold them together, because I've never heard even one of these family rights groups that go, the architecture scared my children. No, nobody cares. So make it look like Gotham City.
The scary, muscular men pulling levers all over the place.
Well, yeah, like
it's terrified fucking people.
Like it's a Lenny Riefenstahl.
Yeah. No, I think it's a lot easier for a toy company to give you a reason to buy something brand new than to even try to attempt to say, hey, could we maybe use that sculpt from the first Batmobile, but maybe add new features to it, right? Like, is there not some new thing the Batmobile can do? Like, shit. Can you imagine? Like, I mean, I wouldn't keep this in the movie, but that whole sequence when the Batmobile rides up the side of a fucking building, which I'm like, why? But hey, if you're going to keep that, and you're going to add a Batmobile that's the same one, could you maybe make that a feature that happens, right? It's got suction cups on the wheels and it rides up the side of a wall. Like, come on. Like, you could keep the same sculpt and keep the same Batmobile, but just add in things. But I think to your point, like, they were trying to go completely 180. I really think that Batman Forever especially is quite literally the thing that those of us who were afraid of what Batman 89 was going to be, it actually became.
Yeah.
It became a commercial that was totally pulled from like 1960s Batman that didn't take itself seriously.
And just long story short, like, you can course correct without having to course correct that much. Like, the first movie is fairly dark. But you know what? You sold a shit ton of toys, so you don't need to go this campy level to such a degree.
No. I never understood it, and like the whole idea, I guess, because this all comes back to the McDonald's thing, and I know we were going to mention this. Do you have to go with McDonald's again? Do you have to use them again?
Yeah.
Taco Bell seemed to not give two shits.
Yeah.
Okay. And on top of that, Burger King did Last Action Hero. And that was a stinker movie, but it was a violent stinker movie that was PG-13. You're telling me there are not other, fast food chains that would like to have Bat merchandise?
No.
That's the way I look at it, is if McDonald's is going to give you problems, fine, don't use them. You will still make a shit ton of money. I guarantee it.
Yeah, and just lastly, you don't cut Danny Elfman. He might not even come back out of protest because Tim wasn't coming back. But
yeah, that one especially hurt because the music of Danny Elfman in the Batman series has been a character in and of itself. And I know when I went to see the movie the first time, I was like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this music that we're hearing? What's with the fucking horns every 5 seconds that like blaring? Yeah. I'm like, that's not fucking Batman. And that's again my point of This is the 1960s Batman done in celluloid. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to get to my version?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my version. And I literally, I kid you not, Psychos Nation, I have whole plot points here. So I'm going to break down my plot points. And John, you can give me some thoughts on each one of these.
Okay.
So one, as I mentioned before, I'm getting rid of Dr. Chase Meridian. I think she's a pointless fucking character. I'm getting rid of Robin, and I'm getting rid of the Riddler. Because I want to continue what was promised in the first and second film. That was my entire mindset in this, was I want to continue what we are seeing in these first two movies. That's what a traditional sequel should do, right? Is build off of what we've seen in the previous ones. So my first half really deals with Batman trying to balance these two worlds, because we've never dealt with, and keep in mind, this is 1995, we never dealt with Batman trying to deal with being Bruce Wayne and Batman at the same time. It isn't until later films when we had that. So I looked at it as the movie opens up with Batman basically trying to rehab Selina Kyle, because I imagine in my head that after the events of the second film, where Selina's down to one fucking life and probably injured a good bit, that last shot we have of her like looking at the bat signal is her then like stumbling into Wayne Manor looking for Batman and just collapsing because of that fight. So Bruce, seeing this as this is my only chance to have a relationship that's healthy and normal, okay, that he tries to foster that. But being that it's Catwoman, being that we know that she does not want that, because we've mentioned it in the last film, in essence, that breaks down. But some of the things in that are Bruce and Selina like going on double dates with Harvey Dent and Grace. Why Grace? Because I'm pulling totally from the animated series, because I think that version of Two-Face is brilliant. So I want to see that in my film. Ultimately, this trying to keep normalcy and is also conflicting to Bruce, because Bruce is, for the first time, seeing someone that he loves and cares about and worried that they will die. He doesn't want Selina Kyle to be Catwoman anymore because he's afraid she's going to die, because that brings up a lot of grief and trauma from his parents dying. So this causes conflict. She eventually leaves and ends up in the red light district, protecting prostitutes and working for the mob as Catwoman. Okay. I'll stop right there to let you digest that, John. What do you think?
I'm liking it. I'm seeing some. You're pulling from some
a lot of sources.
Yeah.
A lot of sources.
Which is what you should do if you're working on these things.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Story time, folks. Now, while all this is going on too, I've introduced Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent is running for governor of the state that Gotham City is in. Not mayor, because that's we've seen that before, but governor. And Bruce, being his oldest and best friend, is actively helping his campaign. And what I want to show in this is that evolution of the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Harvey, because I think that it can go deeper than what we'd seen previously. In my head, I'm like, Harvey Dent has been Bruce Wayne's friend since they were children. And that Harvey was someone who always had Bruce's back, was there when his parents died, and he was at the funeral. And then on top of that, the anger that Harvey Dent has, that split part personality that he has, that mean streak, comes on display full force in a flashback sequence in which someone is bullying Bruce Wayne after his parents die. Harvey Dent goes nuts as a kid and tries to beat the shit out of the bully, and Bruce has to actively pull Harvey off of the bully. Okay? It's a flashback scene, but it's important because it sets the groundwork for what's going to happen later in the film.
Now, adult Harvey Dent, is it Billy D?
Of course it's Billy D.
Okay.
Of course, I am keeping a lot, by the way. I'm just changing it.
I mean, hell, he was
keep sense.
He was contracted and wanted to be.
It's
2A, so
it's 100. It's 100% Billy D. Okay, you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. So this sets up the larger conflict, though, within the underworld, because in my version of Batman, the third Batman film, the remnants of Boss Grissom's gangs are still there. Okay. Because people like to think like, oh, well, the Joker came out in the first one, he killed all the gangs. No, they're still there. Okay. So, but in my head, the organized gangs are now headed by Sal Maroni. Okay. And that instead of going after Batman, which is what we saw in The Dark Knight, they view Harvey Dent as the catalyst for everything that has happened. Because if you remember back to the first film, it was Harvey Dent's war on crime that coincided with the rise of Batman and the rise of the Joker. So in the mob's eyes, Harvey Dent is the target. So they want to, in essence, stop Dent from becoming governor. So they devise a plan to blackmail him because they know that this man has something on him. He can't be perfect. So they hire Catwoman to dig up dirt on Harvey Dent to ruin his chances as governor. Now, it's important to note, Selina Kyle has already met Harvey Dent because of her relationship with Bruce Wayne. In my head, there is absolutely a scene where they go on a double date. So, like, all these people know each other, right? But it's the duality. It's the different lives that you're seeing. So, okay, what do you think?
I'm liking it.
You're liking it.
I want some more.
You want to know more? You want more?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one of the most pivotal scenes in this film that kind of shows these dualities clashing is Catwoman goes to like Harvey Dent's apartment, or I don't know, maybe like one of his offices, and goes to find dirt on him, finds his like psych profile stuff. Because again, this is animated series, Harvey Dent. So we're talking about someone who is dealing with split personality disorder and those anger issues. So she finds these files that basically say that Harvey Dent's he's a crazy person. Okay. And at the same time, Dent walks in, finds Catwoman, leads to a fight in which, yes, Dent goes fucking nuts, crazy, chokes out Catwoman. At the same time, Batman shows up and has to pull Dent off the same way that he did as a kid. So you're mimicking that going on. Okay. It's also at this point where Batman steps in, try to comfort Catwoman because he knows who she is. And he reveals to Dent their secret identities. He reveals that he is Bruce and that Catwoman is Selina Kyle. And this shatters the relationship and the friendship that Bruce Wayne has had with Harvey Dent in one scene. Okay. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm liking it. Yeah. I'm trying to think as an executive, like I'm trying to think more. We need like bigger action.
It's getting there,
but yeah.
It's getting there.
But I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's getting there. Hold on 1 second. All right. So the big action sequence are coming. Don't worry. Okay. Don't worry. All right. So after this incident, there's kind of like a crisscrossing action sequence that occurs around a campaign rally. Okay. And I like the idea of showing the preparation for both sequences at the same time. It's called parallel action. I think it's brilliant. So in my mind, Dent's about to deliver a speech at a massive campaign rally, going to basically guarantee that he's going to become governor. Okay. And while he's preparing for the speech, we cross-cut to the mob getting word that, hey, Catwoman wasn't able to get the dirt on him. It all went to shit. And so the mob is going to plan B, which plan B is an assassination attempt. Okay. So it's like you're seeing like these two things happening in sequence at the same time. Mob's calling an assassin. Dent's getting ready for his speech, back and forth. And it culminates with him giving a speech in a massive arena. And then, it goes great. We all think he's going to be great. It's going to be great. But we're also at the same time thinking, what assassination is going to happen? What's going to happen to him? Okay. He goes to like shake hands after the speech. And right then and there, someone throws acid on his face and causes him, it basically causes that burning of his face right in the middle. And the kind of where I got this idea from was actually from the real life assassination of Joe Colombo that happened in the 70s.
The mobster?
Yes, the mobster. Yeah. He was shot at an Italian American rights rally. And I'm like, that's a cool. That's right. I mean, it's horrible what happened to him, but that's a cool sequence to have of someone at the height of their political power, and then have someone like immediately commit an act of violence like that, just burn his face. So this causes him to obviously go to the hospital. Bruce tries to kind of comfort him, only to be yelled at to say, go away. Cause this is Harvey pre-breaking. Like he's not broken yet. He's just pre-breaking. What do you think so far?
Good. It's good.
Good?
Yeah. I'm just enjoying story time. Yeah.
You're just enjoying story time. All right. So this leads to Bruce kind of being dejected. Then in the night, Dent has his psychological break. He starts seeing flashes of the mob, flashes of Maroni, flashes of Catwoman stealing his stuff, flashes of Bruce Wayne and Batman pulling him off. All of these things just echoing and screaming in his head psychologically, and it causes him to lose his mind and turn into that split personality fully. And I envision him going on like a brutal, violent rampage, escaping out of the hospital. Like we're talking, he's brutally murdering nurses and doctors, all to escape the hospital. Okay. And it's at this point where he decides that he's going to take revenge on everyone who's wronged him. So this part is a little similar to Dark Knight, but it's done differently. And I think more dark. And I don't care if the executives don't like it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep it. Because in my head, this is for grownups. Okay. That's the other thing too. What do you think so far?
I don't know if you get away with it, but
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. So what are the sort of things that Harvey Dent does that makes him know that he's the bad guy? Because in my head, I'm like, I don't want there to be ambiguity. So in my mind, I'm like, this is a person who has had everything taken away from him, so I don't think he has scruples anymore. So in this universe, in my film, he takes his revenge on Maroni by kidnapping his kid at a school. And then that causes Maroni to like freak out. He ends up like getting to his house only to find Dent is holding his kid and his wife hostage. And this is the first time that we see Harvey Dent tell Maroni, we're going to flip my coin. And heads they live, and tails they die. And the thing is that in my mind, this is a Dent who doesn't really care and is going to kill them anyway. So he flips it. It comes up, I don't know, heads or tails, and he still kills them all. So you might say like, well, that's counter, but I'm like, I don't care. I think this is a man who's so broken. Because he, the way I look at it is like he has had to live with this duality for years, and now he's fully becoming one thing. Okay. What do you think so far?
I don't know about killing the family, but I'm still along.
Okay. You're still on it. You're still on it. You're still on it. Okay. So this leads to Bruce learning about the escape. He eventually, as Batman comes to the Maroni crime scene and kind of puts two and two together, that this is Dent hunting down those that he feels have wronged him and led to this transformation. And so he's worried that he's going to go after Selena Kyle. Okay. And himself, obviously, as Bruce Wayne. So he runs back to Wayne Manor. And this is the like one of my favorite sequences. This is obviously towards the end of the movie. Okay. But Selena Kyle, imagine this. It's thunderstorm, lightning in Wayne Manor. Selena Kyle is resting. Power goes out. As thunder and lightning flashes, there's Harvey Dent, Two-Face, behind her. He kidnaps her. Batman gets there. He's too late. He finds a note. And it basically, the note says, come to where you were born. Where was Batman born, John?
Crime Alley.
Crime Alley. Namely, the theater in Crime Alley. So I'm saying he has to go back to Crime Alley, go back to the theater. And the theater inside of there is the stage for Batman and Harvey Dent to battle it out with Selena Kyle. Like, I don't have down with like, I think I have down like she's either drugged or held hostage or something. And this is Batman at a full level of rage that's driven by fear. And I don't think this is a Batman we've ever seen before. So in my mind, this is a Batman who is basically terrified of the loss of someone that he loves. He's terrified that he's losing his friend Dent. And he's like just no holds barred. It's a grudge match. Okay. Both him and Dent beating the shit out of each other. Batman, of course, gets the upper hand. And even as he's about to like kill him, he has to pull himself back because he does not want to become what he hunts. He doesn't want to become a criminal. He doesn't want to become a killer. And unfortunately for him, that mercy is what gives Dent an opportunity to pull a gun and kill Catwoman in front of Batman.
Gonna kill off Selena. Okay.
Yeah, I am. Because I think it has to happen. Okay. So this causes Batman to lose his shit even more to a point where he again stops short of killing him, but he's basically like crippled Harvey Dent, more or less. Okay. And he only stops because he sees that Catwoman's dying. So at this point, he kind of moves to Catwoman and tries to like comfort her, but she even says, she's like, you need to go before the police show up, because obviously the police show up because we have to have that. And he says, no, you're not going to die alone. Because in my head, there has to have been a call out to that at some point earlier in the film of, hey, like her greatest fear is like dying alone or some shit like that. Cause that always has to happen. And I'm like, that makes sense. Kind of, rhyming. But he obviously grabs her, repels away. Police show up, arrest Harvey Dent, who's bloody and beaten, and they end up on the rooftop of the same place where they had their first fight in Batman Returns, where she did the whole like mistletoe could be deadly if you eat it thing. And that is where she dies in his arms. And the movie ends with obviously Bruce Wayne attending Selena Kyle's funeral, and he gets home a very broken, emotionally and beatered man. And he sits in the same library at night and he sees the signal go out. And the difference is that Batman, Bruce Wayne looks at that signal, and he looks at it with trepidation and rage because he's lost the ability, lost the chance of having some semblance of normal life, and knows that all he has now is Batman. And the movie ends.
See, I know,
John, for our audio only audience, John's face is like, this is a lot of fucking digest.
I feel that ending's too close to Batman Returns, isn't it? Isn't it?
No,
he feels all he has is Batman by the end of that.
No. Because like, again, like the promise of Batman Returns is that like he gets the cat and all that stuff, and it ends on like a higher note. But what I'm saying is in Batman Returns, he doesn't look at Batman as a curse. He doesn't look at it as a negative thing. And like with this movie, it looks at the psychology of Bruce Wayne, which I always felt like Batman Forever was trying to do that. It was trying to show us the psychology of Bruce Wayne, but we never got that. Instead, we got neon shit. So my thoughts are, let's lean fully into that. And it pulls from a lot of different sources, obviously, like Mask of the Phantasms one that I love that film. I think we've said before, John, I think that's the best Batman film ever created.
Arguably. Yeah.
But I think it pulls into this idea of duality and the idea that Batman is a sad thing. You know, like there's a scene in Mask of the Phantasm, and I think we talked about this when we reviewed it, where Batman puts on the mask for the first time, and it horrifies Alfred. And it doesn't horrify him because he's scared. It horrifies him because he knows that Bruce Wayne is in essence dead, that he died in Crime Alley when his parents died, and that all that remains now is Batman. But my thoughts are, well, yeah, but he also has to he tries in reality to balance these two people, balance Bruce Wayne and balance Batman, but he's never been tested. And he's never been tested with the relationships that he builds as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. But what would happen if those two collided with one another? So like, that's my thesis on the film. But yeah, what do you think?
So if we're going by the rules of this, like,
sure, let's go by the rules.
I like it, but I think the serious dark nature of it, there's not enough toys there. There are people.
Oh no, I know that.
In a hospital.
Yeah, no, I never. I went by the rule for me of what would I want to see in a third Batman film. That was the rule I wanted to be, and I also wanted to look at like what, you know, the themes of Batman Forever that we do see are there. I think the duality one being one big one, obviously, because like, oh, Two-Face. But I was like, I want to continue what was seen in the first two films. And I think this pulls in a lot more of focusing on fucking Batman for once than any other, you know, version up until we get to the Batman Begins Dark Knight Rises era. Yeah. Which is why people who are listening to this or watching this are going to go, Brian, that sounds a lot like the Dark Knight. It's like, yeah, I know. Crazy that we have a movie centered around Batman, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to rehab Forever because I don't think it's rehabable.
I tried to rehab it.
I know you did, and I respect that. And I know that we're going to get some people who are going to be like, Batman Forever doesn't need fix. It's brilliant. Release the Schumacher cut. I got nothing against those guys. One, I'd love to see the Schumacher cut just to see if it's any good. I might be wrong, but I kind of look at it almost like, are we polishing a turd here?
Well,
you know,
if I was going to remake this, and I have somewhat of a pitch myself, is that
sure.
I don't try to take what they've got and fix it in post. Like, right, like we fix the script before we start. And there's some agreements, you know, we fix the production design before we start. And there's some agreements that, you know, we'll keep the feel of the first two. But again, we'll play by Warner Brothers' desires to make it a little bit lighter. That doesn't mean you have to make it stupid. Like, you know, the scene where Batman, you know, when he comes in to stop the Two-Face attacking the Enigma Tech party, is that, you know, when you go to do the same kick shot from the first movie, you don't need to put in a stupid sound effect there.
But John, this is the 60s Batman. That's why.
I see. It's stupid. It's simple things like that you don't need to do. You don't need Batman having like one line's like, trying to get under my cape, doctor. The bat signal's not a beeper. Women, it's the car, right? Chicks love the. You don't need this piss awful dialogue that's supposed to be hardy har har. Now I want to go get a cheeseburger. You can,
but that's what they wanted, John. They wanted you to go hardy har har. I want a cheeseburger.
They think they wanted that, but what they really didn't want was an aquatic bird man barfing bile out of his mouth, saying just the pussy I was looking for. And we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. We could find a balance.
I disagree. No, honestly, like I love Danny DeVito, but I think they could have reeled back the vile penguin thing. Like, they didn't have to go Burgess Meredith. They could have got somewhere in the middle, right? And made him more of a mobster. Like, that's why I like Colin Farrell's take on the penguin.
Even the guy
for grown-ups.
Yeah, even the guy, I'm not a big fan of the Gotham show. Like, it really
Oh, he was good.
But yeah, the guy that did it on there, like, did it real well. I mean, the animated series did a good job with it.
That was a Birdman who did not puke bile.
Yeah.
You know?
But all right, so briefly here.
All right.
If I'm playing by the rules,
you play by the rules.
Okay. So I took some stuff from the novelization, some stuff from the Burton cut, some stuff that I just made up, and I made some adjustments. So if somebody hears something and went, "Hey, I remember the novelization that was in there," yeah, I'm not saying this is all my ideas. So, but I'm working from things that were already existing and trying to. So it's been first off, I don't have Catwoman in this because I know the studio wants its own Catwoman movie. How they ever fucked that up and waited like 10 years and gave us that Halle Berry nightmare, I'll never understand. That's not my thing to understand. So I'm keeping Catwoman out because I think we want a standalone Catwoman movie. But it's been 1 year since the end of Batman Returns. And the mob appears to have essentially been destroyed from the first film. And a lot of corporate crime, so not in the streets, but in the suites, appears to have been taken out with Max Schreck. So we are living in the illusion of prosperity. Enemy number one from the end, if we're going by the end of Batman Returns, the Batman. The movie opens up with we seeing Bruce Wayne running after his parents have been attacked. We don't know that exactly, but we see a little boy covered in a little bit of blood, not much because we got to keep, Burger King or Taco Bell happy. Running, falls through a hole, finally lands. Bunch of bats fly at him, and then we see a giant bat that, Bruce yells, "I'm in hell." And then the bat kind of looks at him, doesn't move its mouth. It's almost like in a psychic kind of way. It says, "No, you're home." So we get.
I never liked the giant fucking bat.
We cut back years earlier as a young child named Jonathan Crane is being picked on by kids as he explores his fascination with orphan Bruce Wayne. Jonathan Crane, also being an orphan, admires Bruce Wayne because billionaire orphan. That maybe he has a chance. He says he's not afraid of the bullies and that he doesn't believe in fear, but they beat him within an inch of his life. And he stares as the bullies walk away, leaving him bloody in the street as the paper that he had of Bruce Wayne, the newspaper, falls right next to him. He's unable to move, but he's looking at the paper, a bloody mess. And that gives us his fixation with Bruce Wayne. Gotham is in a state of prosperity, or the illusion of it. Again, enemy number one, the Batman. Scarecrow is in plans to destroy all of Gotham, not just for the joy of it, but because he knows the system is broken internally. It's not the mob anymore. It's not the corporate crime, but the foundation surrounding Harvey Dent. All these, other executive, the police, what have you, are all internally broken. Batman fights off what I call Sons of the Joker, the last remains of his criminal empire and honor. He fights him off only to confront the Scarecrow, and Scarecrow puts the fear toxin in, causing the helicopter crash from Batman Forever to happen. Because what they don't show you in Batman Forever is that there is some actual response to Lady Gotham Liberty being destroyed, and people on TV, like in The Dark Knight Returns, are saying, is Batman too much of a problem? Does he destroy more and he helps? Is he the cause of these mass vigilantes? Is Batman really the problem here? Which they cut out of the movie, which I thought was so stupid. It's like, oh, Batman destroyed all this shit, and everybody's like, yay, thanks for saving the day, Batman.
I mean, he's done that for every movie. Property damage alone. Right?
Yeah. Bruce has memories of his childhood because he's still in the fever dream from Crane, and twisted dreams as Alfred cares for him, which Alfred asks for him to postpone his tours to Wayne Enterprises. After the destruction of the last fight, Harvey Dent does a press conference how the Batman is nothing but destruction to Gotham and that he is enemy number one. And as district attorney, he is going to do everything he can to bring down the Bat. Eventually, Bruce recovers, but questions himself to Alfred, looking at a picture of his parents before briefly looking at the news. The news comes on as Bruce enters Wayne Tower. It's more about the cause and destruction that Batman brings, and a panel of people discussing whether he is part of the problem or part of the solution. Wayne heads upstairs to learn Wayne Tech's new ability to send machines to use some of the machines they have there to cultivate what is the gas from the first film?
The Smilex.
Yeah, that Smilex into a fear toxin to stop enemies overseas. Bruce Wayne does not agree with this, believing that a fear toxin, that they are not in the business of war profiteering.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know somebody they bring in as an expert on this is Jonathan Crane, who works at Wayne Enterprises and is annoyed because this is the next step in his plan. And now he's realizing that his hero is telling him no and stopping him from his plan to continue to evolve his fear toxin. So we got kind of Jim Carrey's Riddler thing going on here.
Okay.
Shortly thereafter, not being able to shake the fear toxin, Bruce visits Dr. Chase Meridian, a woman
you keep her in this version.
I like the idea that he has a psychologist because then we can really explore, whether Batman should be Batman forever or if he is causing trouble. Now, in this version, she is not some horny woman who talks in innuendo the entire time. And I think we get Rene Russo in there because it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
A woman he saw talking with Gordon from a distance. He doesn't just show up and talk to her in the opening scene because that's not what Batman does. He wants to explore his tragic psyche. He gets close to her under hypnosis, but has to pull himself out before it's too late, before he reveals too much. A news report is interrupted by the Scarecrow, who suggests that Gotham is under the illusion of control and the powers that be are not to be trusted, mentioning the power surge that the city had 1 year ago. So now we're bringing in the power surge issues because of the issues we have with Max Schreck. Wow. Harvey Dent is seen calling to find out if there's any truth to the corruption. One of the men he reaches out to is someone of great power. He tells him everything is fine. As he hangs up, the Scarecrow is right behind him, and that person is the new mayor of Gotham. Well, from the mayor that was almost replaced by the Penguin in the last movie. So again, we see the corruption, and now we have Harvey Dent, who, like Caesar, is surrounded by enemies, but it doesn't have a face. Bruce has a scene Bruce has a scene where Alfred asks him if he should go out patrolling. Bruce hesitates, looking at a frozen screen in the Batcave as it suddenly appears to be his parents murdered. We get first glimpse of the giant bat from the climax, as Bruce again is having some issues with the fear toxin. And we get the, some version of a "Why didn't you save me, son" line from Mask of the Phantasm.
Such a good one. Why didn't you save me?
So Bruce, pleads with Alfred that I've built my life on justice and I've killed again and again. Maybe this isn't about my parents, but a purgatory I must submit myself to. Batman watches as two men dressed like the Joker jump Harvey Dent. He intervenes to save Dent. I write fast and I don't make notes here. Dent is twofold on the issue and tells the Bat to leave after Batman helps fight off the villains. Afterwards, Dent realizes that one of the Joker disciples was the son of one of the former mob bosses in town. Police cars show up as Dent is taken into custody, damning the Bat. Bruce goes into the second session of therapy, where we learn more about Bruce's psyche. Chase has to interrupt the session as Bruce is heading to the waiting room. He looks on TV about people falling into fear-based comas. Bruce heads to the Batcave to explore evidence against Jonathan Crane. Discovers that Scarecrow wants to unleash a massive attack, first in a large building. As he realizes this, we cut to the circus, where the Scarecrow uses his toxin to make Joker idols hold the circus hostage. Bruce sees this and jumps into action. The Graysons work together to get rid of not a bomb, but a giant assortment of the fear toxin as the Joker idols fail. So Scarecrow uses guns instead to take out the family, leaving Dick Grayson alive, as we see in the original movie. Bruce is a temporary stop for Dick because he was the circus boy, and he sees the parallels between he and his own situation, losing his family. So he takes him in. One of the men who felt threatened by Dent taking him down pays Scarecrow to kill him, one of the many people in the charge of Gotham, while Dent defends himself and Gotham on stand. The one drug man screams and goes to throw toxin in Harvey's face. Harvey turns, but it's too late. Gotham mourns two tragedies at once. With Dent out of the system, having itself on trial, we see streets go into complete chaos. The Red Triangle Gang, Joker disciples, and everyday criminals are taking to the streets. Batman has no choice but to respond. A street fight happens. Batman approaches Scarecrow like he did Penguin, but unlike a desolate street corner, he finds himself in a suburb. As Scarecrow makes a point, Batman sees Gotham citizens lock their doors. The fear of natural and created has permeated in the streets. Batman knows he has people who are even more terrified of him, making his involvement in crime fighting circumstantial. Batman sits at home after a conversation with Alfred, where he talks again about the cost of his crime fighting. Is he making monsters for stopping them? Alfred tries to soothe him, but to no avail. Bruce calls Chase. She mentions it's unorthodox to call me privately, but he's hurting. He explains his pain and she empathizes, but tells him that he's still fighting pain that keeps him from truly being a person, not a masked figure, hypothetically speaking. Robin goes out for revenge, looking to hurt any street criminal he can. He beats a thug nearly to death before Bruce, as Batman, stops him. And we have the scene that if Bruce Wayne could have saved your family, he would have. The rest of the next scene happens like it does in the film, because I think it's one of the best scenes where he talks, if I find the Scarecrow, I'm going to kill him. And Batman says, then what happens?
Oh yeah.
Every night you're going out for
that.
revenge.
That is a very good scene. That is probably, the best one in the film. Could use more for that.
Harvey checks himself out of the hospital with bandages on his face. He walks into a club. A long conversation happens with Gordon and other villains of higher officials in Gotham. Gordon, being useless in this one too, is just there to try to stop him.
Poor Gordon, he's useless in all of these movies.
Two-Face shoots the mayor. People run out of the club as he stands there in proudness. He simply wounds Gordon. We're not going to kill Gordon, but maybe something to do with him. And that's as far as I got. But so and eventually we're going to start to get towards, somehow Scarecrow finds out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, goes and destroys the Batcave, the all is lost moment. So, and it's not going to be on some weird Enigma Tech island that we have, but there's going to be some place that Jonathan Crane, brings Batman, and he has to make the choice between Dr. Chase Meridian and Robin. So that's as far as I got. But I'm trying to bridge the gaps between something that fits like the old movies, but still has to play by the rules of what they wanted for Batman Forever. So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
So no one says holy rusted metal Batman.
I mean, that was cute. It was one line.
It was one line. No, it's good. It's really good. If I had an applause button, I'd press applause. But no, it's really solid. I mean, what gets me about both of these different alternate versions of this movie is they're more introspective and have more depth than what we got from Batman Forever. Like, even though yours tries to hold more to the bones of Batman Forever, even mine, which is very much, kind of says, no, we're going to continue what we did in Burton-verse, it still has echoes of what Batman Forever is, right? It's just played more for, I don't know, grown-ups.
Yeah. And
tries to hold more true to what Batman has always been. It doesn't try to make it toyetic. I'd even say yours, I mean, I don't think we need to have a Jonathan Crane, fear toxin toy. But like even yours, I mean, it's got more adultish themes in it than previously, right? But I mean, I think the difference is that both of these versions, they're made for grown-ups.
Yeah.
You know? They're not, and like kids can enjoy it. Probably not mine. But kids can still enjoy these movies, but the audience is older. You know? Whereas I think Batman Forever, I think, was made for kids first, which is probably why we didn't hate it when we first saw it.
Yeah, and it seems like Batman Forever was made for, I would say, like about 10 to 14-year-olds, where Batman and Robin is made for 5-year-olds, right? You know, and
oh yeah.
And I think if we have to look at the internal legacy of this, you know, some people might say like, oh, John and Brian, if you look at the math, you know, Batman Forever made like $80 million more than, you know, Batman Returns did, and it sold more merchandise and everything. But you have to look at the legacy, because Warner Brothers didn't learn their lesson, and they went, we'll go even stupider and more toyetic. And they had a movie that destroyed their franchise for what, 8 years?
I mean, it didn't just, John, it didn't just destroy the franchise. It, in essence, destroyed the comic book superhero film for a good bit, at least 3 years. Well, no, actually 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Before X-Men came out. No, 3 years. Yeah, 97 was Batman and Robin, and then X-Men came out in 2000. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, 3 years. It killed the superhero movie for 3 years. Barring Blade. I don't count Blade.
Right. Blade. Yeah. But it's like 8 years until we got another Batman movie. And I think people were even still kind of scoffing before it came out, of like, oh, Batman. Yeah. Here, holy, you know, cool party, and, you know, and just mocking, you know.
I mean, I know I was one of those like, oh God, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
You know, like when I heard the news that Christian Bale was going to be Batman, I'm like, oh God, here we go again. You know, but it wasn't until I saw that first trailer that I'm like, oh, this is someone who gets it.
You know? Yeah, I cynically didn't give anything a chance. I first didn't give Batman Begins a chance, then I enjoyed it, but then I heard Heath Ledger's going to be the Joker. I'm like, that's going to be terrible. One of my worst takes I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that's a worst take. I actually was like, I was on the other side. I was like, you know what? I think it'll be good. Because I'm like, you know what? People didn't think Michael Keaton was going to be good, and he ended up being great. And then when you see Heath Ledger as the Joker, you're just like, oh, fuck. Like, this is the bar now. like this isn't even like above or below. This is the bar. This is where it needs to be at. Which I think in terms of Jokers, we haven't really hit that since then.
So I think that it was a temporary solution. It's like if you're hungry and you eat a bunch of candy, you might get full, but in the end, it'll just leave you sick and feeling gross. Yeah. And I think that that's the legacy of Batman Forever. And I think it would have been that even without Batman and Robin. But it was, I don't think that people, unless they were 4 years old like we were with Batman 89, look on Batman Forever with reverence. I think that it's not beloved. You know, there is Batman 89. There is for the cult serious people, there's Mask of the Phantasm. Everyone loves The Dark Knight. I really don't think anybody really looks on Batman Forever with
John,
reverence.
I'm telling you, there are entire threads out there on the internet with massive fans who love this movie. Like not just like it, but they love it. And they believe, again, I don't know because I haven't seen it, but they're convinced that the Schumacher cut, which I don't know if it'll ever be released, but apparently it exists.
I hope it will.
And yeah, you've heard of it.
I mean, that's what I base a lot of my stuff on there. You know, like there are scenes, and apparently in the Schumacher cut, where Batman is in the Batcave, and there are news reports and panels talking about, is Batman a threat? Is he more of a problem than he is a help? And I'm like, that would have been good to have in the movie.
That would have been good to have in the movie.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, John. That goes another level deeper than what this movie was supposed to be, which this movie was supposed to be a neon painted, empty shell. That's what it is. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and that's like, I know there's people out there who are listening to this who are going to go like, why does Brian and John hate Batman Forever so much? I don't. I'm just telling you, it's hollow. It's a hollow film. And it's a course correction that honestly led to the worst Batman we've ever had, which was Batman and Robin. And the only reason that Batman and Robin was made was because of how well Batman Forever fucking did.
They're like, yeah, people are stupid. We'll give them another stupid movie for the stupid people to buy stupid toys.
Yeah,
they didn't.
And
care.
and that's the thing is like, you could say like, oh, well, Batman and Robin was bad, but Batman Forever was fine. It's like, no, you're wrong, dude. They're the same thing. They're just one is turned up to an 11, but they're the same premise, same set design, same puns, same neon shit, same inside joke shit. It's the same shit. It's just one is blatant consumerism, where the other is just, we're trying to bridge that gap between what you maybe liked about the Burton versions and what our end goal is, which is buy the Happy Meal stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Put the French fries in your mouth hole, fuck face.
Yeah. Eat the French fries, drink the sweet soda, and buy the Happy Meal stupid. Like, that's what it is.
And if you look at, like, what is the reviled prequels? Well, people of a certain age. Again, there were people that were real little when the prequels came out. They love them, whatever.
Yeah.
But for people of a certain age, us and older, revile the prequels. Brian, what is considered by people like us? What is the best of the prequels
of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Oh, Revenge of the Sith.
Right. And what is that one? The darkest of them.
It's the darkest.
What is typically the most beloved of the original Star Wars trilogy?
Empire Strikes Back.
What is that?
The darkest one.
Yeah. It's like, you can find a balance between.
Do you know why those ones are so beloved?
Because they didn't pander the audience. They didn't treat them like idiots. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. It respected the audience. That is what it does. It respects them.
Because if you ask an executive, why shouldn't Return of the Jedi be the most successful? Right? It's the most lighthearted. It's the most toys. It has the cute little teddy bears. This one should make the most money. We should sell the most stuff. But it's not true. You didn't. Because again, I love Return of the Jedi, but it really feels
I love
being
Return
pandered.
of the Jedi.
We're being
pandered
to.
I totally know that. I love Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite, like, out of the three. But like, I know the vast majority of people prefer Empire. But the only reason I like it is because it puts Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader on level playing field. And it also introduces the Emperor, which I'm like, those are the dark elements.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I want to see. I really pay more attention to that than the fucking teddy bears and even Jabba's palace. Like, that's what my brain goes to, is that dynamic between father and son and the dark side and the whole, seeing Luke Skywalker in a flash potentially go down the pathway of Darth Vader. That's why I like it. Okay. But again, that's a dark element of that film.
To give another film comparison, because it's aptly fits, it's the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. The director, Steve Barron, did everything he could to take this ridiculous, ludicrous concept and make it as serious and as thoughtful as he could, while still remaining a lot of stuff for the kids. And then the parents groups went, it's too dark. And then they made the second one, which did okay when it came out. But nobody watches that one 30 years later, however long it's been, and goes, yeah, this is good too. No, they say, this was crap, but I liked it because I was 6.
It's true.
I can watch the original one, and I have a good time. I watched Secret of the Ooze, and I cringe, and I'm like, this is a bad movie.
Yeah,
but you know what? It appeased the parents, and we're able to sell more toys.
Yeah, all because we couldn't have anthropomorphic turtles using ninja weapons.
Combat cold cuts.
Yeah, we couldn't do that.
But so that's what I'm saying is that, like, if I was at Warner Brothers, I'm like, look, let's find some middle ground. Let's make Batman 89 again. Let's not make Batman Returns. Like, we can make a movie that's PG-13 that doesn't insult the adult audience, but the kids are still going to have fun. We'll lessen the innuendos. We'll try to channel down the violence a little bit, but we're still going to make a movie that is thoughtful, but you're still going to sell toys. And that's why I'm thinking, like, okay, we get Robin Williams in there, not Jim Carrey. You know, we can put Robin in the movie because I know it'll sell action figures, but we can make it more thoughtful. We can cut out the fucking laundry scene and shit like that. Like, there are things that you can do from the script, from pre-production, even during production, and you don't hire a hack idiot director. Hey, look, he made some good films.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. He made some good films, but he clearly was just a patsy that would do whatever the studio told him. You don't bring him in there and then have him bring in, oh, I want a new Two-Face. I want a new person to do the music score. I want a new Batmobile design. It's like, no, bring in somebody that will keep those things so it looks like the other two, has some of that tone, just lighter. That's how I try to find that balance.
And then there's me who says, fuck you. I want my Batman to be made for grown-ups. Yeah. Like, that's my thing is I look like, and this is probably my reaction also as an adult to Batman Returns as well, because there were things about Batman Returns I did not like. And there were things about it that I thought were a little over the top and a little goofy and a little like, why are we doing this? So for me, it's like, okay, let's just make it all about Batman and make it about him and his duality and that. And like, you know what? If we're going to get into adult territory, might as well go full balls to the wall.
Yeah.
You know, that's in my head. Now, does that mean like my scene where, Dent kills Maroni's family? Are we going to see that? Probably not. That'd be probably a cutaway thing, just like they did in The Dark Knight. But it's the whole point that it's made for grown-ups. It respects the audience.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest thing to kind of wrap Batman Forever up in a bow, is that the movie doesn't respect you as an audience member. Doesn't.
And so, yeah, that's why I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, what if I had the Batman Forever script? And I started last night piecing together, what do I think worked? Like, if I had just, what are bullet points that worked? And I thought the comparison between Robin's, wanting revenge because his parents died, and Batman, like that's good. But and then Batman trying to teach him, but also teach him to not just want murder as a revenge. Like, there's good stuff there, and then, but I also then started picking out like all the crap, and it's like, the whole like Chase Meridian being like this one-lining, like horn dog. I'm like, that's junk. That's out,
it's garbage,
and like the weird sound effects, the neon, Gordon giving the thumbs up at the Batwing. I'm like, this is junk. Also, just the entire performances that I mentioned by Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones are just god awful, one-dimensional trite. And so like that has to go. I would say these villains, if we're going to keep these two or keep one or whatever, they need to be completely rewritten with nuance. That's the biggest problem with this movie is Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. Because there is some good stuff with Val Kilmer in there. There is some good stuff.
Yeah. I think Val Kilmer does his best.
He's a different type of Batman. Yeah.
He's a different type of Batman. He does his best, but there also are moments where I'm like, why? Like, for instance, when he first meets Chase Meridian and she makes a comment about dressing like a flying rodent. And it almost is like Batman gets offended by the fact that she made a comment about being a flying rodent. I'm like, dude, you're fucking Batman. What do you give a shit what someone else makes a pun about?
Yeah.
Like, why do you get offended? Like it's almost like she said, "Oh yeah, Martha's a terrible name."
Why did you say that name?
Like you would have thought that that's what Chase Meridian said was like, "Oh yes, I hate dead parents. I hate the name Martha." It's like his reaction is that level. Like his face is like, "Bats aren't rodents, Dr. Meridian." It's like, fuck you.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Good to know. That's a third rail for you.
But the only
No.
thing that in my pitch, like, because again, I try to play by the rules. The only thing I don't think works is
I'm glad you play with the rules because I wasn't going to.
is that I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that Warner Brothers doesn't make me include Riddler. I think that I don't think
yeah.
Warner Brothers makes this movie without Riddler. Like at the highest level, Warner Brothers are like, you give us a script with Riddler in it, or you're fired.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a question for Michael Uslan was Riddler a thing that had to be in there? I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I don't see why Riddler had to be in there other than to say like, oh, well, yeah, Riddler's a core person. Not really. I mean, there are so many other rogues in the rogues gallery that you could pull from. I mean, Jesus Christ, you could have Hugo Strange in there, Ra's al Ghul. I mean, there's a ton.
Most people don't know who those people are.
I know they don't, but they should. Like I even if it's the Riddler, I don't know. He's such a goofy fucking character.
Well, do you know the reason that I think he was next up in line, and actually why?
Because he's Joker light.
Well, sort of, but yeah, but it's if Tim Burton hadn't given carte blanche, they probably would have made him be the villain in the second movie. I go back to Frank Gorshin, Batman,
Oh, yeah.
the 60s Batman show. I think people loved the Riddler, not necessarily even from the comics, but the Frank Gorshin portrayal, to the point where Jim Carrey is just channeling Frank Gorshin in this movie. I mean, he's channeling Jim Carrey. As somebody once said, he's playing Ace Ventura, Masked Detective. But
one thing that I did want to mention, because we talked a lot about how Batman Forever was really designed to, not to basically to spoon feed the audience a Batman movie, okay, and really also be as PG-13 as you can. This movie also features a moment where a worker decides to kill his boss.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I bring that up because he kills his boss in a very horrific way that's played for laughs. And I remember when I remember when this movie came out and I had the soundtrack, and I think Flaming Lips did the one song about, your bad days begin.
You hate your boss at your job.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my mom was so concerned about me listening to that song because of the fact that there's a line in it saying that you hate your boss at your job and you just want to blow him away. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. You had a problem with Tim Burton's version of Batman because it was too violent and too sexual, but you're cool with a Flaming Lips song talking about killing your boss, and you have a scene in the movie where Jim Carrey kills his boss, and you're cool with that? We're good.
It's such bullshit that like
that's what I'm saying. It's bullshit.
Like he dies off screen and Jim Carrey makes a big kahuna joke, and we don't actually see the flying Graysons hit the ground, and there's miraculously no blood. Yeah, and it's like we just get around shit.
I guess my whole thought is just like the pushback against violence and making it more of an adult thing was bullshit. Like I truly believe, and that's why I guess with my version, I don't shy away from it because I believe it's a bullshit argument because Batman is not made for kids. It's not a soft and cuddly creature. It's a dark, broody, vengeance-filled man who's literally broken because he's living the trauma of his parents' death night after night. That's Batman. It's a little kid dealing with the trauma of losing his parents and trying to fight that. Strip away everything. That's what it is. And trying to make it PG-13 and not show blood and not show sex.
They're all
and all that stuff.
PG-13, but closer to PG than R, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't buy the argument of, well, we're trying to make it more for kids. Fuck you. No, you don't. It's because you wouldn't throw a scene like that in there if you did.
Yeah, it's the most important voices are not necessarily the loudest, but it's the loudest ones that get attention.
Yeah.
Because
totally.
And I know that some kids maybe were bothered by Batman Returns, but I was 7 and I loved it. Saw it in the theater. 7. And then we got it on VHS. I watched it 100 times and like nothing in that movie bothered me.
No, I turned my bathroom into the Bat Cave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I turned my Jack and Jill bathroom into a Bat Cave that my brother and I both shared. Okay. When I was 7. So yeah, I don't get it. But final thoughts, John. Do you think Batman Forever couldn't be saved?
I do think it could have been. I think if if there were more people willing to stand up in an executive sense at, and that's not an attack on Michael, and I'm not just saying that because he gave me an interview. The guy bought the rights. He's not, he's not the creative force behind it. But if they had more creative directors that are willing to stand up, and you hired a director that would stand his ground and not just be, the studio's little bitch boy, because in some of the stuff I'd walk into or that I was watching, Joel would walk in and he'd go, well, what are we shooting today? And they'd be like, the cinematographer would be like, you're the director. And he's like, he didn't have a shot sheet. He didn't have storyboards. So like the cinematographer and his team are basically directing the movie while Joel just sits at a monitor and goes, that's great. So he was checked out and just doing whatever the studio told him. So if you had a director that would stand up for what was right for this production and you fix it before you shoot a single reel of film, you could still give Warner Brothers what you want, but leave with your head held high in dignity. So I do think it could have been fixed.
I think it could have been fixed only if they continued what we had seen in Returns and the first film.
Yeah, you gotta have references there.
I think the continuity had already been established. I think pivoting the way they pivoted does not work, and I still don't believe it worked. And I only think that you have 2 movies that have set up and laid groundwork for what the third one would be, and to completely ignore that, it just treats the audience like shit and treats the fans like shit, like the people who were diehards for years, treats them like shit. And then to get a movie that is in essence a commercialism 1960s version of Batman, which people didn't want to see in 1989, and now in 1995, there you go. So I don't think it could be saved. I think it had to be scrapped, and I think it had to be built from the ground up. That's just me.
Which it could, because my final thought here is that if you can do a Saturday morning cartoon aimed at children and it has more nuance and thoughtfulness and respect to the audience than a feature film does, like you could have fixed Batman Returns.
Exactly.
If a cartoon can do it, you could do it as a feature film.
Exactly. And that's the thing too to understand, is that Mask and the Phantasm had already been out when Forever came out. Like, so there's no reason that you can't treat a live action third Batman with nuance and respect for the audience and respect for the character. And instead we get a neon hollow shell.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I think we can close the books on Batman Forever. And hey, 10 years in the making, man. 10 years in the making. Cheers. I don't have any drink on me. But wow. I mean, I wasn't sure how this episode was going to go, but I think this was a really good, solid episode. I hope people enjoy the change. I hope people enjoy the change of pace. We usually don't do any sort of like, hey, this is what the movie could have been. And I think it was cool. I mean, this is one that we when John proposed to me the idea of, can we fix Batman Forever? I'm like, I've never thought about that. Maybe we can. And I think it's been fun to kind of talk about like the movies that could have been and what maybe our thoughts on it were. And especially if John and I are gigantic Batman fans, we totally have thoughts. So with that said, John, where can they find you at on the internet?
Well, I just want to take a quick moment, as well as you did earlier, Brian, to thank all of our guests. Thank all the people that wanted us to review things, that wanted to come on the show. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to Lane for being such a pivotal part of the show. We couldn't have done it without you. So thank you for all of your years of commitment to this show. And I want to thank you, Brian. As I always mention, Brian is the one that makes this happen and keeps stepping up our game all the time. So cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers. Cheers. And I think John owes a lot of thanks as well. A lot of people don't know this, but John actually decides what we're covering for the whole year. Like literally at the start of every year, John goes through and gives me a whole calendar of what topics we're going to cover. Usually I'll push back and be like, I don't know, but we should do this one. But we always come to consensus. So John, I just want to say, you are an amazing co-host, and
Thanks,
having you as part of this podcast has been absolutely pivotal. And what you bring to the show every week is just not only fun and your sense of humor, but you bring in so much film knowledge and passion for film that I know our audience feels it. So as much as I might put the thing together and might press all the buttons and all that stuff, John brings in equal amounts. I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So again, where can they find you on the internet?
Facebook, Instagram, and I am currently halfway through writing my script for Ladybugs, because that movie made me feel gross. I haven't seen it since
it should have.
I haven't seen it since I was like 7 or 8 or whatever it was.
That's about right time.
But I'm just like, ew, this movie, ew.
Yeah, it's gross. It's a nasty one.
Yeah, writing that one because I'm like, okay, before I jump into American Beauty, which is going to be a little heavy, I'm like, I'm just going to do little Ladybugs, little Rodney Dangerfield, you know?
You're like, no, it's equally heavy.
Yeah.
Gross. Nasty. Of course, if you have loved this episode, please do me a favor and share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your favorite Batman fan, and maybe share it with someone who really liked Batman Forever. Maybe they will, like our renditions of what a third film would be. And of course, if you want to, you can follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice by going to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. You can go there and you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, all the places from one location. And of course, if you want to join along in our conversation, believe it or not, we have a Discord channel, which you can bring us your own thoughts on Batman Forever. So do you like what we proposed as alternate universe movies? Maybe you have one of your own. Continue the conversation on our Discord channel. The link for it is in the show notes. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, hit the like, and let me know down in the comments. How would you fix Batman Forever? With that said, we will see you next time.
This episode gave me a joygasm.